There's one of those little motivational images that's floating around online that says, "What would you do if you were not afraid?" And I may be paraphrasing it, but it's the sentiment of it. It's, what would you do if you were not afraid? See, back in my college days, my third year in college, I was taking a psychology class, and that psychology class really helped me evolve my view on life and my personal future. It was a very, very good class. But I did my term paper in that class on fear. And the funny thing is, at the time, the summer before that, one of my many brothers gave me the full trade paperback set of the Batman story arc, No Man's Land. Fantastic story arc, by the way, highly recommended. But in it, the Scarecrow makes several statements about fear, as he usually does. And he mentions how all violence stems from fear, if I'm remembering correctly. And in my term paper, I expanded that to say that not only all violence, but all negative, at least socially negative reactions that we create come from fear. The fear of loss, fear of the unknown, fear of injury or damage, whatever you can come up with, but our innate genetic greediness and self-servingness really comes from fear. It comes from a primal acknowledgement of the finiteness of resources and the bitter competition that is life. And so it is important to recognize that fear plays a massive role in our lives. Now, let's continue on with the fear thing for a moment. Different superhero. The Green Lantern is well known to be fearless because you can't have a lantern ring, a green lantern ring, since the spectral core exists now. You cannot have a Green Lantern ring unless you have conquered fear. See, fear is the antithesis to will. It's the whole idea behind it. Fear will always counteract your will, and fear is very strong. Now, like I've mentioned previously, negativity is very necessary in life. You can't have black without white, you can't have light without dark. But the interesting thing is that much like electrons and protons in matter, fear is like an electron. It carries the same charge as a proton in a much smaller space, meaning that we need less fear to do the same, to create the same effect. That being the case, fear is very weighty. It's very, very weighty. And while you cannot live a life without fear, the idea behind the Green Lanterns, of course, is not that they have eradicated fear, it is that they have conquered fear. It is that they have made or adapted their will to be able to move through fear, move in despite of fear. And it's a very, very important concept. See, fear will always exist, and fear exists for a reason. Life is limited. Resources are limited. And without that fear response, without that response of, hey, this is something that may not be available to me, and I really want it, I really need it, then without that response, you kind of fall into this kind of malaise where you don't do anything. It's very easy to become apathetic and take everything for granted without fear backing up what you do. But to let fear take hold of you and put you into freeze mode, to put you into I can't make a decision mode, to put you into shaking your boots and never moving forward because you're afraid of everything from germs to car accidents to interaction with other people to being laughed at to being shot in the head by a mugger. And, perhaps all valid concerns, but at the same time, letting your fear captivate you to the point where you can't do anything, well, then it's obviously gone too far and your willpower is lacking. Unfortunately, humans have a really bad track record with willpower and a really strong track record with succumbing to fear. And that's what people will say courage is. Courage is not that you have no fear, but the fact that you can act regardless of fear. And that's the idea that I want to extend towards you tonight, is this idea of fear is okay, but learning how to manage it, learning how to accept the fact that fear will exist and you can't do anything about it existing, but you can do everything about how you respond to it. And to start training in such a way that will allow you to move beyond the fear, that will allow you to act in spite of the fear. Because really, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I can be a little mischievous, and I can think of several naughty things that I would do if I weren't afraid. But I can also think of some very strong and empowering things that I would do as well. My ultimate goal in life is to be master of my own fate, to live at my own whim and not anybody else's. And to live to 200, because fuck it, I want to live to 200. But my dog just locked herself in the bathroom, and I'm not letting her out. But you see, if I didn't carry some of that fear around with me, fear of failure, I would already be running my business the way I want to run it, in a full, dedicated location rather than out of my house, with multiple clients that are at multiple levels and able to help one another out as well, instead of just a handful that come to me for private lessons. But because I worry about things like money and bills and the roof over my head, I still work a full-time job and just do my love, my passion in my spare time. And perhaps that's something I need to get over, but perhaps it's something that you can move past already. What are you afraid of? If you have the courage and feel like expressing it, feel free to comment or send me an email, and we can gladly discuss it. I myself am not perfect. Fear of failure is a big deal for me, and it shouldn't be. But how about for you? What is it for you? What really gets you sweating? What keeps you up at night? What are the things that really, really bother you, that hold you back from doing what you want to do, what you need to do? I may not have the answer for you, but I'm fully willing to open a dialogue and have discussions, and at the very least help you sort it out for yourself. That's all I got for you tonight. Just remember, ask yourself constantly, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And if you can muster the courage, do it. Good journey.